All right, we have a quorum, so let's get going. A minor change. Julie's doing the invocation. Jim is doing the pledge. Don't forget to turn off phones. And having said that, I better do it. And anything else that might make a noise. And then if you'd like to join us in the invocation or the pledge, please rise.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for today and your promise of tomorrow. I ask you to guide our discussion today so that we are productive and that we hear with open hearts and open minds. Let our decisions reflect your will for our county. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you both. Madam Clerk, can we please have a roll call?
Bell. Curran.
Here.
Freeling.
Present.
Harrison.
Here.
Hinkleman.
Here.
Majerick.
Here.
Ott.
Here.
Pittsford.
Present.
Ballraff.
Here.
Werfel.
Here.
Yarborough. Present. Elliott.
Here,
Mr. Chair, you have 11 present, 1 absent.
thank you. Minutes from a week ago,
I'll make that motion to
moved
approve.
by
those.
Freeling, supported by Ott. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Madam Clerk, have we communications?
Yes, you have 5. I sent you 2 just recently. I was checking all my emails while I was gone. So you have 2 resolutions from Lapeer County Board of Commissioners designating Lapeer County as a Freedom to Homeschool County, and a resolution opposing Public Act 23 of 2023 received on April 3rd. A resolution from Crawford County Board of Commissioners supporting the Citizens for Local Choice Ballot Initiative received on April 5th. A resolution from Crawford County Board of Commissioners supporting the Protect Michigan Kids Bill package received on April 11th. An email from Andrew Hahn, Cornerstone Alliance on Community Partners to build public waterfront plaza in Benton Harbor received on April 15th. And the email from Cornerstone Alliance on addressing the housing shortage opportunities in Berrien County received on April 17th. That's all for communications.
Very good, thank you. We'll go now to public comments. And at this point, it's just about the resolutions. General public comments is later. But right now, it'll be the resolutions, including the one ending in 4195, which has to do with cross deputization. The undersheriff is here and can quote that resolution verbatim if you wish for him to do so. So if you have anything to say about resolutions on the agenda, now would be the time. Yes, sir.
Go through Hager Township. Now, I had a question about 2 of these resolutions, 186 and 190. Now, you got talking about pay scale here. Now, why is it like classifications, assistant prosecuting attorney 1, 2, 3, and then chief, and the other one? Why is it you never put down the damn amount of money? So I'd like to know what they were getting before and what they're getting now. It's our money. Put that on there next time, okay? I don't like to see this, a pay scale. Yeah, you guys doing enough of that stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peltzer. Anyone else wish to be heard? Did you? No? Okay. All right, then we'll close public comments about the resolutions. And be a good time to move and support if someone wants to do that. Moved by Pitchford, who supports.
Support.
Supported by Harrison. And this is including the added resolution. Is that correct, gentlemen? Okay. Any discussion about the resolutions?
Red Bud. Sorry.
Go ahead, Bud. That's right. Well,
I learned.
I think it's Red Bud. I think that's how you're supposed to say it, but anyway, yeah, Red Bud is on there. In with an exclamation mark in case you missed it. It's 4180. All right, if there's no meaningful discussion, we'll have a roll call. Madam Clerk.
Curran,
Yes.
Freeling. Harrison,
Yes.
Hinkleman,
Yes.
Jarrett. Yes.
Yes.
Pitchford,
Yes.
Walrath,
Yes.
Werfel.
Yes.
Yarborough. Bell,
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, you have 12 yeas.
thank you. If you flip the agenda over, the top of the second page is, I think you could say the top of the day. Something we look forward to. And I don't know that in memory, there has been a more impactful Dispatcher of the Year award than we're going to be dealing with this morning. All honorable and meritorious candidates. And when you have that, it's really hard to pick one to get the award because they're all worthy. But we're going to do that. And we have the 911 director here, Caitlin Samsel, who's going to help us with that process. Caitlin.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing us to come and honor our telecommunicators this week and today. Actually, our chair of our 911 advisory committee, under Sheriff Greg Sanders, is going to do the presentation. He'll read the nominations. So these are nominated by their peers from both the PSAPs in our county, so Niles and Berrien counties. And then they are anonymized and given to the 911 advisory subcommittee that selects this award winner every year. So I'll turn it over to the undersheriff.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate your time of the commissioners and county officials and the public. This is meaningful work. This is the first step in getting somebody that's in need of help that way. It takes a special person to do this. When they pick up that 911 line, they're immediately transported into the life of somebody that needs help. And this is a special job they do and an opportunity during National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week to recognize all of the workers at the dispatch center. And I want to specifically explain the 5 individuals that were nominated for Telecommunicator of the Year and a little about what they've done. The first nomination, Danny Fitz and Mark Fitzsimmons are co-nominated telecommunicators from the Niles Police Department. They are not only 911 telecommunicators, they're training officers and lean techs. Danny Fitz has worked in Niles since 2019. She's a dedicated employee and often works the night shift. Mark Fitzsimmons has worked at Niles from 2018, and this is after a career at Cass County Dispatch, and is also described as an exemplary employee and a dedicated employee. In the last year, Niles had 3 vacancies of dispatchers or telecommunicators at their facility, and these 2 individuals had to flex their time to cover those 24-hour shifts to serve the people and ensure that Niles was safe, and they did. Both Danny and Mark participate in the hiring process of new dispatchers and train, which is a challenging task, and they've accepted this challenge and excelled at it. The second nomination goes to Cindy Napier. Cindy has worked at the Berrien County 911 Center since 2008. On June 15th, Cindy took a call from an attendant at a convenience store around 8 o'clock in the morning that had just been robbed. Cindy remained calm, which calmed down the caller and kept the caller focused and was able to collect a vast array of information, including the physical description, weapon, vehicle, and direction of travel. Cindy showed great compassion, yet gathering pertinent information effectively and efficiently. Nomination number 3 is Bobby Evans. Bobby has worked at the 911 Center since 2010. On July 13th of last year, Bobby took a call from a Spanish-speaking individual who later handed the phone off to her young daughter. Bobby worked with this young child to determine the address and what was happening. Bobby remained patient and was able to speak with the child for over 15 minutes until law enforcement officers arrived. Nomination number 4 is Sarah Blurton. Sarah's worked there since 1999. She is currently a training officer there and a supervisor. She's willing to help with coaching, mentoring, and supporting the staff there. She's always looking for ways to improve the center and best practices and standards, along with improving morale. On July 12th, Sarah was working when units called in trying to stop a vehicle that was reported stolen. The pursuit lasted over 18 minutes, crossed multiple jurisdictions on I-94 and was traveling well over 100 miles an hour. Sarah remained calm, informed neighboring jurisdictions of the pursuit, and coordinated for units to use stop sticks to slow the vehicle down. In the end, the pursuit ended with the driver being taken into custody and no one being injured. She was contacted by members that were involved in the chase and complimented that she did a stellar job throughout that incident. Your 5th nomination is Stephen Ballard, who has worked since 2020. He's currently a training officer and an officer in charge when there isn't a supervisor present. His schedule is flexible and he accommodates the training schedule. And on June 18th, took a call regarding a shooting that had occurred, resulting in one of the individuals dying. To help out, they looked for cell numbers that might have been associated with the suspect, and he made several calls and ended up speaking with the wife of the suspect, who was with the suspect at that time. They were traveling down the road. Steve was able to get a physical description of the vehicle and clothes the suspect was wearing, and ultimately convinced them to pull over, where they were taken into custody by police without any additional person being injured. Co-workers describe him as having great situational awareness and a willingness to help everyone out. He continues to work with the newer staff and welcomes any questions and offers advice. Those are your 5 nominations, and I think all of them show just a wide variety of things the 911 Center handles daily. So good job. And the committee has reviewed the nominations and have chosen the telecommunicator award, and that person goes to Stephen Ballard. Thank you. Great job. Great job.
Wait.
Steve, I'm not gonna hug you.
Yeah, right there. So you're great.
It's an honor.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thank all of the honorees. And I mean, when you can literally say you've changed someone's life or some, more than someone, other people's lives for the better and maybe even saved lives. I don't know. But there's definitely a spiritual component to that. And not everyone can say in their job, they've done what you all do. And Stephen in particular this year, you've made a difference. And Caitlin, I remember 3 years ago, young lady, young girl, name was Timella Holloway, got on the phone, called in, because I think her mom was having a heart attack. I don't know if it was cardiac arrest or it was a seizure, but it was a life-threatening event. And this little girl, you all probably remember, she was 8 or 9 years old, I think, and she got on the phone with dispatch and was able, calmly, this little kid, her name, her address, what's going on with mom. And she probably was I shouldn't say probably, she was vital to saving her mom's life. And I still have that photo with you and Timella. I hope she's doing well. She's, just an amazing kid. And so those are life stories that happen here, and it's every day. I wish we had one of our former colleagues here, Jeanette Leahy, because Jeanette was instrumental in us getting 911 as quick as we did. I had a summer job in 1981 at a law firm that doesn't exist anymore. It was called Ryan McQuillan, Vanderplug, and Fetty. Dan Fetty's dad, Tom, was there. And one of my projects that summer was working on the 911 bylaws for Berrien County, 1981. 4 years later, as a member of this board, I voted to approve 911 for Berrien County. So it's got a special place in my heart. And I'd like to thank you all very much. If anyone else has anything would like to chime in, it's as good a time as any. Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad that we have this opportunity to recognize just the unsung heroes that we have within our county. And I personally have had my own touch with dispatch, and I say all the time, you guys are there on our worst day to help walk us through it. You are that front line, and I'm so grateful that we get this chance to acknowledge you all, show our appreciation, and say thank you for helping Berrien County be the place that it is with the work that you do.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, thanks so much. You're always welcome to stay, but we know you have other things to be doing, so we take no umbrage if you cut out. We'll just take a moment while you head for the door. So, thank you. Yeah. See you, Mike. Well, where'd everybody go? Okay, it's gonna be kind of a letdown after that, but we'll move through. We have committee reports. I apologize to PHS that I was unavoidably detained with other committees. But based on that, we'll call on PHS first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did miss our opportunity to meet with you, but we moved on regardless. So we had only one resolution. It's an honorary resolution that we did approve. And we talked with Shelley. We're going to go into a closed session later on and talk about some labor agreements. And then we spent the rest of our time together talking about the structure of the board, how we operate, how we relate to the departments at the county, and looking at meeting schedules and assignments for committees and the like. And so we're starting that process to look at that critically. And so we'll be bringing in several department heads to talk with us about how a change in the board cadence might affect their operations, seeking their input and understanding. And so that concludes my report.
Yeah, quite lengthy. I would hope you could shorten it next time, but anybody have any questions for PHS? Okay, next on the list is admin. Jim.
Thank you, Mac. First in to see us was our county prosecutor, Steve Brandley. We thank you for passing the resolution for Carpo, the software. He talked to us about that and just mentioned that he is down 5 employees. He's working on filling those and the efforts that he takes to get those filled. Then after we had a couple of people in that are not scheduled. One is Don Trail, and Don brought us a bid that I think went through finance. And the bidding process, it was a package of projects that are compatible. And they put it out for bid. They only got one bidder, but it didn't meet the specs. So they updated the specs, put it back out for bid. Then they got 2 bidders, and they ended up going with the second bidder, not the first one that applied. So he talked to us about the process that he followed, and he followed our policy. And the collective amount of the money that these bids came in was a little over $3 million. And a lot of the work is at the jail. So Don explained that to us. We're okay with it. I think finance saw it as well. Then after Don, we had Mark Heiliger, our road department director, in to see us. And this has to do with fuel pump dispensers at the 3 different sites and fuel management inventory system. Essentially, the gas pumps have original equipment that were put in there in the 70s. They've been updated a few times over the years, but it's still old equipment. And they're coming up with discrepancies in how much fuel is being used. And so Mark thought this would help cure that problem. So he wants to replace 3 fuel dispensary pumps and put in a fuel master inventory system. And the fuel inventory master system is where they would have a key that is specific to their vehicle. They would put that key into the fuel management system on the pump, put in their mileage, any other information that is required in order for the pump to even operate. And then it would electronically keep track of gallons used for that particular vehicle and for total gallons used so that they can track that better in accounting. And that was for $157,504.69. And we okayed that too. Thought that was a good way to go. After Don and Mark, we had Mac, the chair, and Brian, our administrator, in. talked to us about the millages. I think he talked to everybody about those. And talked to us about the vehicle that was donated to animal control, about putting some vinyl wrap or some signage on it. We're gonna have a little bit more discussion about that. And that, oh, we have one resolution ending in 4195, and this is for the cross deputization between the tribal and the sheriff's department. And it's a 10-year agreement. The agreement is up, so this renews that agreement. That is our report.
And that was on the consent calendar as the added resolution today, correct? Okay,
Yeah, that's why I didn't cover it.
great,
I thank you for that.
thank you. Any questions for admin? Madam Chair of Finance.
Thank you. We first met with our Administrator Dissett and Chair Mac Elliott, and they had many things to tell us and cleared up some things and did history. You're doing history today. A lot of you know why things are. And our first meeting was with Warren Parrish, Director of Equalization, who had talked in our committee of the whole and then wanted to talk to us. And it was much about what Jim Curran's committee with the millage and what's going to happen. And that this will be next week. It'll come to us next week for passage because they normally get those things done in April, and that's why they want to stick with that. And I think we've had enough opportunities to ask questions that we're ready. And so what it was, just as you spoke about it, there will be 3 millages coming. It's the senior center, it's 911, and it's public safety. And because of the Headley Act, what we want to do is keep it at the current rate. And 4 years, because with that Headley, if you go longer, you get behinder. Is that a word? Okay, you get more behind. And so that is what's going to happen. And that's what the resolution will reflect. And we need it to pass next week. In the jail, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, you know, we're doing a lot of things everywhere. And Don Trail came and explained to us the machinations and all that was going on with the so few bids. And what happens, he says that with this work to bid, and you're a company, you have to come, and they have a time when they take you around and show you what the things are that needs to be done. And many of them, when they saw the vastness of it, they didn't bid. That's why they had 1 bid, and then they had 2 because we needed something deeper. And it ended up still, we're going with Ibbett Electrical, and their bid was less than the other bid. And because we as finance had come to us and we had questions or wanted it to go deeper, that's why it was redone. It wasn't, we didn't accept it, the first bid. Let me just see what else is here. We had waivers. We had a waiver for that fuel dispenser because the numbers are not, it's not registering properly. And we're praying that I'm praying that the fuel, what it is the pumps and not the container that the oil and gas and whatever's in, which is underground. And then we had a communication company. It's something we needed to do with the door at the Niles Courthouse. Oh, that's what I call it, whatever, the Niles complex. And it's a CO2 detector. And it's going to be fixed. I'm just trying to see here. Oh, and then we ordered for the, is it the road department, bituminous mixtures for the road. Yes. And then we reappointed some members of the finance.
We'll do that later.
Oh, reappointed to the Land Bank Authority, Stephen Smith. Then we reappointed to the Planning Commission, and these are people that are already on these committees. It's just to give them more years. Arthur Havlicek, Lee Van Genhoven, Greg Lammert, and then we reappointed to the Public Works Board, who's just a renewal, not just a renewal, who is a renewal, Peter Calovis and Matt Culp. Okay, that's my report.
We'll formalize that momentarily, those appointments, because those will be I think, full board approval. But you're saying the finance committee is recommending all those appointments?
Yes, that they
reappointments?
be reappointed.
Okay. And just a caveat, I think public safety is being considered for a 6-year.
Both public safety and 911, the committee that was formed, they worked over a number of months to create a recommendation on the renewal of those millages. The committee ultimately recommended that the millage amount stay flat, that it would be a simple renewal request. However, the committee did recommend that the term be stretched from a 4-year to a 6-year. If there is a desire from the finance committee to go with the 4-year, that's completely within your rights, but I would recommend that a conversation occur with the board members that participated in the public safety millage renewal committee. So you would have at a minimum, Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Bell, Commissioner Werfel sat in on those meetings, along with a variety of staff, the prosecutor and the sheriff.
Thank you so much. Warren Parrish was in while we were
Yep.
meeting. I'm sorry, our chairperson was in that meeting. Commissioner Bell was on that committee and in the meeting. So we have a few more we need to talk with. And we tried to get in touch with the sheriff, but he was in something at Lake Michigan College. So we kind of, I guess, understood we needed to talk. And so if you all will fix it where we can.
Madam Chair, we'll just need direction. This is one that we will prep the resolution in a way that the board desires, but I think that there's a little bit of concern coming from some sitting at the table that they'd recommended 6. If the desire is to go with 4, I think that it would be appropriate just to have that conversation to make sure that you all as a group are aligned.
Okay, thank you so much.
And bear in mind, if you go with, I mean, I was fine with 4, but I'm also fine with 6. And if you go with 6, the board can subsequently amend that if there's a desire to recapture what Headley has whittled away. We could always look at it again in 2 years and adjust it as appropriate. So you have flexibility, whatever number you go with.
Is Warren Parrish in the room?
No, ma'am.
He's gone.
No,
Okay.
he's-
And his hope was 4.
Yeah, I understood. Any other questions for finance?
I have a general question.
Well, we're
So-
not there yet. It's still finance committee reporting. All right, then. Yeah,
Just real quickly, just a clarification. We have no indication at all that those tanks are leaking. I want to make that clear. If we would be acting on it, but there's no indication that those tanks are leaking at this point in time. I just want to make that correct.
thank you.
The tanks that they talked about, there's no indication that they're leaking at all. So
But it's not metered, the meter is not.
it's not lining up, but I just wanted to make sure that in the report that when she said that she's hoping that they're not leaking, that we don't misunderstand.
Sure, thank you. Okay, before we do anything else, let's deal with the finance committee recommendations, which Chair Yarborough just recited. Land Bank, Steve Smith, Planning Commission, Arthur Havlicek, Lee Van Ginhoven, Greg Lammert, and then Public Works, Peter Clovis and Matt Colts. Is there a motion to approve all of those? Moved by Hinkleman. Is there support? Supported by Harrison. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Madam Clerk, can we reference that those folks are reappointed as of today? Thank you. Then, Alex, did you have something before we get to other business?
Yeah, just a quick question. Maybe it was for finance. When the resolution comes forward about the 4 to 6 years and then keeping it the same, is it bundled together but can it be written where we support the keeping it the same? Then we vote separate on making it 4 or 6? Can it be done that way?
So Commissioner, it's my hope to try and get a little bit more feedback from the group. So staff will be working on creating that resolution for the board's review next week. So the more clarity we can get today, the cleaner next week's vote will go.
Okay.
And we were told that it would be 3 separate resolutions.
Oh, okay.
Each resolution. And I've seen on resolutions where it'll explain to you what it equals. This millage equals so many dollars based on the value of 100,
Right.
or each 100,000. I don't know if that's quite right, but
Yeah, and if they're not changed in terms of the millage rate, would they go on the ballot as a reauthorization or as a renewal, or what, how would it be
It would be
categorized?
phrased as a renewal.
Okay. Okay. All right, yes, sir.
If the length of the term goes from 4 to 6, can it still be a renewal? Or does that have to be
Yes.
changed?
Yes,
can.
it can.
Okay. I sat on that committee and we had a lot of good discussion. And it was a good cross-section of folks. And the reason, part of the reason for wanting to go to 6 years as opposed to the 4 years was to get it off the same rotation as all the other millages. So that the public isn't looking at a list of millages this long and getting to the point to where they just say, we're gonna say no to everything. The other rationale was we anticipate probably having to raise that millage within that 6-year period. So getting it off of that rotation, and like the chair said, being able to revisit that within the first 2 years and possibly going for an increase was a better way to go than the climate right now of asking for an increase now. So it was kind of 6 years, we get it off the rotation with the other ones and to revisit it within the next 2 years for a possible increase. So I guess I am of the opinion that the committee recommended 6 years. I'm okay with 6 years.
And when you say reauthorization back up to the original level, that's basically capturing back what Headley took away.
That is
Not
correct,
an
yes.
increase above the baseline, but just getting back what Headley took away.
That is correct.
Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments? Ma'am?
In finance, when Warren was making this presentation to us, one thing that he did specify is while it looks like there's a reduction, it's actually a neutral position with the Headley rollback for what we would have been collecting, only because the tax collections and the increases on the value of property had increased at such a great rate. There was so much growth within our county that this is really just keeping us at where it would have been had we not had that growth. And that's the reason that Headley gets triggered and there is that slight rollback. And so in finance, our discussion was, we understood some of the rationale from the Public Safety Committee, but we fell in line with the new current rate where we're at with the rollback included. And then doing the 4 years was what I had walked away from committee thinking, but it's a decision for the full board to have discussion on.
Anyone else on finance wish to comment?
Yeah, I'll comment, just to basically echo what Terry said on finance. We were in favor of the new and current rate, not in favor of an increase, which could it be explained? Couldn't it be explained? It's an increase. And so, so an increase back to an original rate. And so we just were in favor of that, I think, and I'll speak for myself, I guess, in favor of the new and current rate. And we were fine with 4 years. The 6 year thing, I'm with you on that, 4 or 6, but I'd rather go 4, so.
Yeah. Either way, you could revisit it in 2 years if you wished. So it's maybe a distinction without any meaningful difference.
And
Ray, and then, I'm sorry.
well, and just one more thing, I think, we were also working with Warren, who was recommending the new and the current rate also, it was his recommendation to go with the new and the current rate.
Yeah. Ray and then Jim.
Yeah, and if I could just speak
I mean, from being a member of the ad hoc and a member of finance, I am okay with, the recommendations from our equalization director, with staying at the new and current rate. And if it's the will of the board to stay at the 4 years, I am okay with that as well. But as Jim explained, our rationale for the 6 years was factoring in the possibility of us getting back to that original rate, and having to do that, you know, with all the other millages on that, we just felt like the public could possibly go either way on that. And so we wanted to kind of reduce the possibility of them just saying no to the entire thing.
Jim,
And there was a lot of discussion about the increase and not increase. We identified a need now. We really need to increase it now. But because of the climate right now, we opted not to. And that was another reason for the 6 years, was within that next 2-year period of looking at maybe going for an increase. But we had a lot of discussion about that, and we opted not to do the increase now, even though we identified a need now. So if we do it within the next couple of years, that need's gonna be even greater.
who else was on the committee? Julie?
Yeah, I think Jim well covered it. Nobody was in favor of an increase at this point in time. So, I mean, I know you've addressed that a couple of times, saying, well, we want to keep this rate. And the committee was the same way. We don't want to go for an increase at this time because the economy is so horrible right now and people can't afford it. And we knew there were going to be a lot of other millages, which has all happened. I mean, we got a May 7th election that's coming up here real quick with nothing but school millages. And then in August, there's not only gonna be ours, but a number of townships already have millages that are gonna be on those ballots. So the real debate at this point is just the term, because I think everybody's in agreement on the dollar amount. It's unfortunate, as I think we said in the admin committee, that, Warren was a part of that discussion as well, because he was on that committee, that he didn't remember those reasonings why we wanted 6 versus 4, and he was in agreement with the 6 at the time. And, hopefully, and the reason for the discussion in a couple of years, potentially for the increase, is because hopefully the economy will change by then. But we don't know that. So in a couple of years, we may not be able to go for an increase either. So, but, you don't know how long is this inflation going to continue to grow, and how long are people's wallets going to continue to be strapped. And we wanted to keep that consideration in full view. So that's why the 6 years and some of the reasoning behind it.
Yes, sir.
Very broad question, because I think this is a really important topic. Is there any economic indicators that we will be looking at using over the next few years to guide this decision? Or is it kind of public sentiment? What would we use to say, okay, now we're at a point where we can justify asking for an increase using empirical data?
Inflation's got to be a big one, because it's, if you get a pay increase of 3% and inflation on the stuff that you're dealing with every day, food, gas, your car, house mortgages, all those things, it's running 6, and I don't know what the exact numbers are, but if you get 3% increase and your costs went up by 6, did you get a raise?
Yeah.
So, yes, sir.
And I can add to that. And the committee, the thing we talked about is this is reminiscent of 08. It's that whole cyclical thing of in 08, it was borderline recession. Everything was down. We had to be really careful. It takes a while to come back from that. And that's where we're at.
Bob and then Ray.
So I think we would be looking at the impact of the Cook plant revaluation.
Sure.
As well as the state budget and what's going on with the Michigan economy, knowing that, a reduction in the overall internationally competitiveness of Michigan will affect tax revenue for the state, and then it will necessarily affect us. And then, there's a number of proposals being made in Lansing that would adjust funding for the court staffing, who they work for and the like. And so I think it'll be one of those that we have to look at, 4 or 5 different things as we reach a conclusion on all millage requests.
Yeah, good. Ray?
Yeah, and so to address that and our administrator as well as Commissioners Warfel and Curran, didn't we talk about consulting with Arthur Havlicek in the Chamber of Commerce as well as using some of the guidance that Alpha Shoka with LMC, some of the strategies that they use to craft what their plans were with the LMC millage proposals as well. So we did discuss that in committee.
As a follow-up to that statement, the committee did bring in some outsiders to help us with understanding campaign, how you would have to campaign if a millage increase were to be sought. We talked about the economy, we talked about the state, we talked about the total valuation of the county. Is it going up? Is it going down? But then we also talked about trying to use local elections as a bit of a litmus test. And the committee talked about the fact that we anticipated, and now it's happening, that there'd be a variety of school elections that would be out in front of us, and that would be a good indicator of the public sentiment as it relates to continuing millages and potentially taking on new millages. So all of those conversations occurred, but without a doubt, the committee made clear no increase to be sought at this time. The only question is, are we going 4? Are we going 6?
Any other questions, comments? Can we just informally get an idea, because I'd like to streamline the process with respect to 911 and public safety, because those are the two we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Not the senior millage. With the senior, I don't think there'd been any discussion about changing that renewal from 4 to 6. So senior would be 4 years regardless, right? And this would all be in August. Okay, all right, so finance, the thought was just do them all at 4. All 3 of them, 4 years in August is renewals.
Yes.
How many people are fine with doing the 3 renewals for 4 years? Show of hands. How many is that?
I've got 5. Is your hand up? No,
No, it's just a, give me an idea. Straw poll.
What you think?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think Ray's in between.
I know. I couldn't tell if you were asking a question or raising your hand.
No. Be like bidding. balance. How many for 911 and public safety would want to do a renewal for a term of 6 years? You're voting twice, right? Okay, well, it looks like 7?
Yes.
Okay,
I go with it.
okay.
And if I could just make one comment to that. You know, we've hired consultants, we've hired professionals to look at various issues, and they've made recommendations to us. We've traditionally followed those recommendations, and we put together this committee. I think it was a good cross-section, and there was a lot of debate, a lot of discussion, and that was their recommendation, and that's why I support it. Because if we're not gonna support them, then why are we putting these things together? And I haven't heard anything really earth-shattering that would shake me from going from 6 to 4. So I think I appreciate the vote, because it sounds like the committee prevailed, and I thank you for that.
This is just my thought process around why I like 6 more than 4. I appreciate what was said earlier about taking this off of the cycle with other millages and proposals. And also with county commission terms going to 4 years, having that coincide with elections for county commissioners at the same time might make strange considerations for people when usually you might support it, but you might have contingents on both sides arguing it. So I think taking it for a 6 year, taking it off that election cycle and making it something where commissioners will be able to hear from the community, take their own thought processes and make a reasoned judgment I think that's the way to go.
John, Jim.
Very quickly, like I said before, 4-6 doesn't really make any difference to me. I understand the reasoning. I think finance, Warren came in, talked about 4, so we were just in lockstep with him because he talked about 4. I think the real concern is gonna come about all of this when you actually go to the public for the increase. The line of logic is still sound when somebody sets a percentage and says, we're gonna run this program at this percentage. As taxable value goes up, the dollars go up, and so everybody has to work their own budget in that regard. And all of a sudden you come to them and say, well, we're gonna raise the percentage now because the taxable value is up, but we want more. And that's where the combat will come at some point in time, so.
Right, okay, and then Ray, did you have something else?
No, I was just gonna ask, so the county commissioner terms, does that coincide with the effectiveness of the effective date of the millage?
Just so happens to coincidentally correspond with anything that would come up for renewal 4 years now.
Okay.
4 years out, because it would start 25, 5, 6, 7, 8, and
And so this will go on.
this will go 2 years
November.
past as it's currently envisioned.
Okay.
Yeah. Jim, did you have something else?
Yeah, and I think what John just alluded to is, and Julie also said it, those are discussions we're gonna have to have farther down the road. Because like I said, we identified the need now. We really need an increase now, but we just didn't feel it was the right time. And what was the official vote? Was it 7-6?
I think it was 6.5 to 5.5.
Thank you.
So, all right, well then, is it okay to just prepare the resolution, put all 3 on in August? Seniors will be for 4 years. Public safety and 911 for 6 years, and all will be renewals. So is that? Okay, well, that's your right. But you'll be fined $20 if you do, but that's okay. Right.
Show us the money.
No, right. So is that okay? Draft it that way? All right, then there you go.
Okay.
Commissioner reports going clockwise.
No report, thank you.
Yesterday with Commissioner Majeric attended Riverwood, our mental health authority board. So we got a presentation on some of our the reporting process for violations against some of our clientele that we serve. It was a very informative presentation of just learning about what we do to hold ourselves accountable, to making sure we serve that vulnerable community of those who suffer from mental illness, just making sure that we hold ourselves accountable. That was very good. We also received our report from our CEO. We received a update from SWIMBA. We got a new SWIMBA board president, so we'll be, looking forward to hearing from her in the next coming months. I think that was it. I think Mike can cover the rest if I missed anything. Yeah, that's my report.
I attended the CEO council last Friday and also met with a constituent regarding road department issues. That's my report.
Last night at the SMCAA board meeting in Cassopolis, first time ever being in Cassopolis in my life. I got myself in a little bit of trouble. As you know, Lauren got appointed to the Mental Health Authority Board as well, and our meetings are at the same time. So she has to be there at 4, and then I had to be in Cassopolis at 6, so we had to figure out ride arrangements for all of that to happen. But nevertheless, we got through it. We got our CAP plan update, which is just how we're adhering to, state and federal standards as an organization, which we're doing really well. The water moratorium in the city of Benton Harbor has been lifted, so water shutoffs are happening. SMCA has funding to help. It's not just Benton Harbor, it's municipalities that they cover for water shutoffs. There is a $3,000 cap. They are seeing water bills that are higher than $3,000. So if your bill is above that amount, you're gonna have to come up with the rest, but they do have funding to help up to that point. The staff has been doing an amazing job trying to work through all of this. But it is a big issue right now, and they're trying to spend the funding as they can, but you know, they only can do so much. Last night or the night before, there were the 2 special elections that happened. The House is back up to 56, 54. The only reason why I bring that up is I am awaiting for a vote in the Senate on the data center bills that we're supporting. It looks like things are going well, but they were waiting until they got back from almost like a month-long spring break. The AI committee is having its final meeting right after the MAC conference in Chicago. So I'll be leaving the MAC conference and going right over to Chicago for this last one, where we'll put together our work group report that's coming out and our toolkit for counties and local governments to talk about AI. And then our final meeting in July, which is going to be kind of the capstone of reviewing how that's worked, reviewing any legislation that's happening in Congress. So I'm excited about that. And then the State Community Corrections Advisory Board was canceled due to lack of agenda items last week. So that was a bit disappointing. I really like that committee. We do a lot of work, but obviously we didn't have anything to do this last week. So that is my report.
No report.
No report.
I'll be brief because admin does have another meeting we have to go to. I went to CEO with Commissioner Harrison last week. It was a good meeting out in St. Joe Township. The MAC Ag and Tourism Committee met earlier this week. We had an MSU presentation. Just talked about what the things are MSU does, which of course we're very active with them, so we're good. And then we also had the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission a meeting this week. We had a GIS presentation, which was also very good. That's my report.
No report.
Okay, along with Commissioner Bell, we went to the Benham Area Mental Health Authority last night. And they'd been chasing a SAMHSA grant for about 2 years. And they were told they'd never get it, and it's been funded everybody else. However, they received notice last week that they are going to get it for $2 million. They did do their audit, and the professional staff there that does the accounting, they had no problems with anything, and they got the highest scores through all of that. And that's pretty much it besides what Bell covered. That's my report.
Did you have a brownfield too?
Hmm?
Did you have a brownfield too last week?
Oh,
I forgot it
I forgot.
You cover it.
You got it.
I can't cover it. I wasn't there. There was a brownfield meeting last week. I just said to the
Everything was going on.
other members. I do have a brief report. I too was at the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission meeting. We received their annual work report of what they plan to do. That will be sent out in a link to the members of that board, and then we'll make sure we get it to the administrator for y'all to take a look. The reason I missed the brownfield meeting was because we had a BC BIT meeting, and we were just discussing and getting updates on the RFPs that got sent out. I think the second RFP that focuses mostly on the lakeshore is current and will be due May 1st. Thank you for that. Brian's over there giving me cues to make sure that I had the right date. So we had those conversations. We're closely watching BEAD challenges and the process as that kind of is being opened up. One thing that I would like to make of note, the Affordable Connectivity Program that has been funded through COVID. Right now, there is no funding mechanism, and that funding runs out at the end of this month. This is that $30 credit for those who are income insecure that need those dollars for connectivity. Right now, the federal government has not found a way to appropriate dollars to continue funding that program. I think there's something like 23 million people in the country signed up on it. I don't have the numbers here for Michigan or Berrien County, but that's a real concern of how do we move that forward. I know there's discussion through the FCC of whether or not they can take that over through the universal service fees, what that might look like, but I think Title II needs to be approved and passed by the FCC for them, and that is tied to some of the net neutrality discussions that are out there as well. So more to come on that, but wanted to just give you guys a little bit of a heads up and not be a Debbie Downer on that one, sorry. Construction from MEC as it relates to Robin is well underway. I know that they are working on Bertrand and Berrien townships. They are putting out notices to those areas within like Baroda, Weesaw, Galeen. They're all getting notified that construction will start in the second and third quarter of this year. So anybody who wants to take a look at that can go to teammidwest.com and look at their construction timeline. All right, that's my report. Thank you.
This is just social, but there was a play last night called The Minutes at the Ghostlight Theater. And Paul Mao, the director of the building and all, asked me if I knew of any commissioners that would come. And so I invited you all, and there were a couple that kept jumping out. And I asked Annette to help me. It said it couldn't send it, but I sent the information. There was no charge, and what we were invited to was a dress rehearsal. And it was awesome. It was unbelievable. It's minutes, like we get the Cal meetings and the other, and it was a commission set up much like this. They were right at our face, the audience, and it was so interesting and unexpected. And each commissioner was completely different. Each one of them had their own personality. It's starting tonight, and I don't know what the charge is, but look on Facebook, and if anyone can go, it would be something to go and see, and that's what I recommend. That's my review. Thank you.
Okay, so you're giving it, would be 4 stars, 5 stars?
5 or 6.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay, so now then we are at general public comments. So as you know, it's anything you want to talk about. And you have up to 2 minutes. Name and town if you would.
My name is Michelle Tucker. I'm from Alcorn, Michigan. I just kind of want to talk about the public safety mileage that you guys keep talking about. You say that we need an increase in it like right now. In 2022, it was increased and it was like, oh, let's see. It was increased and there's like over $800,000, almost $900,000. And when I looked to see what it was spent on, what's going to be used for, 440,000 of that was used for 4 deputies, which means $110,000 per deputy. That's a lot of money. 250,000 of it was used for OPEB retiree healthcare liability. That's healthcare. And then 50,000 was used for special team overtime pay. 150,000, a little bit over, was for capital projects. So I'm wondering, what exactly do you need more? What does the public safety actually need more money for? Why can't we allocate some of those funds that are used for the extreme amount of money, salaries that the deputies are being paid? I think if taxpayers actually looked and saw what it was going to, they would be furious. A lot of people see public safety and they just like want to help the police. They want to make it better for everybody, but I don't think the funds are actually being allocated to that proper thing. So they'll take into account what's actually being spent instead of asking taxpayers to foot the bill for salaries and healthcare. I think that would help a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Belter Hager. You're talking about money. I told you, I got my new tax bill. And my SUV is going up 5%. And you guys are giving 3% raises. And what are you gonna do with the other 2%? There's some extra money for you right there. Now, and the main reason I'm up here right now is I just came from the other school over there, the senior center. Now it's a little bit bigger than this one. It's one floor. Anyway, I walked around the room, then guess what? Right in there, when you walk in, it says maximum occupancy, 50. They had a gym, the exercise class this morning, we had it in the gym. It's 300 in the gym. Then some of the other ones, like an activity room is 235, but a classroom is 50 now. Where I would count up all the chairs and all the people here, every one of these, we got 13 and 15 and then 38, 53. You gotta take out 3 seats. Now, I want to see a sign up there. This is just a public building. There used to be a elementary, kindergarten. And you guys figure that's why you need a bigger room. Go down to the St. Joe City Commission, see how big the room is. Even when you come over to where I go, Hager, it's bigger than this room right there. We had about 25 people in there last week. So you can't bring chairs in here. There's a maximum. I want to see something on there. I don't know who the inspector is that goes around and does that. But this is illegal what you were doing. You had that once before too, I think I told you about when Paul Bailey retired. They were hanging out the doors. So somebody get to it.
Give him a step over.
Oh. Huh? I can either do one too. It's got a lot of static in it. Antique.
Just want to introduce myself again. I'm Stacy Laporter. I am running for Berrien County Clerk. I am the current clerk at Lincoln Charter Township. I am a Michigan Municipal Certified Clerk. I'm also an internationally certified clerk. I'm hoping to continue my clerking efforts in the clerking world of the county and provide to the county residents. I've been a clerk since 2008, and I have been at Lincoln Charter Township since 2002. I love education. I love providing success to the local clerks and to my residents, and I hope to continue doing that and look forward to the new challenges in the clerking world of a county clerk. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. That concludes public comments. I would note to the lady who spoke about the public safety millage, I think that millage in 22 was not adopted. So those expenses were not incurred by anyone that were proposed in that millage that was not approved. But your comments are appreciated nonetheless. Other business, sir. That's fine.
I just forgot to say during my commissioner report that since we did make April 24th Richard Hunt Day, there have been conversations. I got a chance to meet with some individuals from the Krasel who are looking at doing something on that day to really honor the county making that a day and just also honoring Richard Hunt in general. So maybe definitely gonna be talking to you today because I think it's cool what they want to do.
Yes, and I also met with the city of St. Joe, and they are following suit with what the county and the city of Ben Harbor did in making that day Richard Hunt Day as well.
Great. Anything else? Any other business? Yes, sir.
Admin meets at 11:30 this morning.
Does?
Yes.
Oh, well,
Waiting outside.
we've got a closed session, but we will still have a quorum if admin needs to go take care of other things, assuming nobody else leaves.
I've notified Mark that you all are working through your agenda, so he understands.
Okay.
Well, then in that case,
I just wanted to make it.
yeah, let's wrap up. If there's no other business, closed session to
I'll make a motion.
collective bargaining